Okay, thank you very much, Martin. So I'm going to take the opportunity, firstly, to welcome everybody. As Martin's just said, this is a really great sort of expansion of an event that's microphone's there, microphone here, I'll stand here. That's sort of taken over 5 years now to slowly build up, but we're at the point now where, a room like this is starting to look like a reasonable location for this event. So that's really great, and it's really good to see. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for engaging. Before I start my slides, I just also want to thank the people who've organized this event. Martin Turner, who you've just seen, has chaired the organizing committee for this conference. There's lots of people in the background. And as you can imagine, these things don't happen easily. There's lots of work that goes on. So thank you to everybody who's made this happen. Okay, so I just want to start by giving you a welcome. So for those who haven't been here before, welcome to Manchester. For those who haven't been to CIUK before, welcome to the CIUK event. For those who haven't been to the CoSeC conference, welcome to the conference. So this is the fifth, as Martin opened with. And I guess as a quick overview, in terms of what to expect, you can see the program, but it's a day of technical talks from sort of across the communities that CoSeC works with. So the Collaborative Computational Project, or CCP communities, and the High-End Computing Consortia, or HEC communities. We have topics relating to applied AI, quantum computing, modeling and simulation, software, applications and development, code porting, optimization for supercomputing platforms, and lots of work relating to fair data in terms of workflows and consideration. So a really good and eclectic mixture. We also have some flash talks later today from the new cohort of CoSeC Fellows. I'll talk a bit more about the CoSeC Fellowship Program in a moment. And posters throughout the day, as Martin said, so please do engage with those and have a look. All I would ask is that you follow all safety guidance and signage around the event. CoSeC is part of CIUK, and CIUK itself has its own set of sort of guidelines and rules and things that they'd ask you to do. I would ask you to read and follow the CIUK Code of Conduct. The QR code will take you there. You will hear about this more during the rest of the overall event. However, if I was giving it sort of a roundup, what does the CIUK Code of Conduct really say? For those who are about the same age as me, a bit like Bill and Ted, it asks you to be excellent to each other. It asks you to be nice to each other effectively in a professional capacity. But please do have a look if you get an opportunity. So I appreciate many here will be well aware of what CoSeC is and what we do and who we are. But I just wanted to put a few slides up just to really give it an overview. So we are a UKRI centre to deliver, enable and support collaborative computational research. And fundamentally, that's kind of our goal. That's our mission. That's what we do. And we do that in two key ways. So we do that by enabling computational research, by developing software as an infrastructure to address complex problems and providing a stable core of expertise across domains. And that stable core is quite a key aspect. So there's lots of talk these days about RSE groups and the importance of those sorts of groups within universities. Well, CoSeC represents the same sort of setup, but within the UK's national laboratories. And we achieve this through stable, long-term, holistic partnerships with researchers organised as communities, so the CCPs and the HECs. And the holistic part of that sentence is really very important. So, we adapt, we change, we work with our communities to do what's best for their research areas, best for their software. So, sort of in a three-tiered nutshell, the model for CoSeC is, at its core, a group of skilled research technical professionals based in the UK's national laboratories. It's people. CoSeC is people. So we work with our collaborative computational communities primarily, and these sort of represent key strategic drivers for UKRI's digital research infrastructure strategy. So topics like the application of green compute or sustainable computing, fair data, applied AI, accelerated computing, so the use of GPUs, heterogeneous computing, technical training, that's a really key driver for all that we do, and quantum computing as well. And in terms of how that looks in numbers, so effectively we work with thousands of researchers within the UK and internationally, and we do this through our communities. Our communities represent 31 UK higher education institutions in terms of the direct working groups that run them. And there are 25 of these research communities that we organise into 9 thematic areas. So things like computational engineering, computational chemistry, materials, and so on and so forth. There are also 5 national facilities and institutes that are involved in the CCPs and the HECs and that we work with directly. And we see ourselves as a developer of key national skills. And again, through the program and through the communities that we work with, CoSeC is also directly linked to key UK commercial, so things like Rolls-Royce, the Met Office, NVIDIA, so on and so forth, and international organisations as well, such as CCAM, for those who are aware of it, many of the national laboratories, such as Sandia, and so on and so forth. So quite a wide-reaching program in terms of what we do. The centre itself is quite wide-reaching, and as I say, it's a collaboration between us and our independent communities where we work. So what does the model achieve? Well, it achieves sharing of expertise, shared aims and strategy, and I think those 2 things come under the knowledge exchange sort of moniker that's really very important right now. It enables community-driven research software development, and that's so important and so key. It's actually something the UK does fantastically well. We recognise the value and the importance of organised communities driving the development of the research software that we use. Shared approaches to data, so that's becoming so important as we consider, the future of the AI future, the AI-driven future. AI is built on data, right? So without these curated data sets that communities like the CCPs and the HECs and CoSeC can help with existing and being maintained and developed, there's no basis for a lot of the AI workflows that we want to see going forward. And finally, the whole thing just derives greater value from research. So over 24 to 27, CoSeC obviously is doing lots of things, but this is a slide that just picks out a few of the key things where I think we're doing things that are particularly impactful. So we're enabling UKRI funding over 25 to 26 in support of 19 communities. So we work with 25. We currently directly support 19 of those. Our community integration through our teams of research technical professionals that I've just mentioned, where we do the actual technical development work with the communities. Co-development of strategy for collaborative computational communities within UKRI, and I'll say a little bit more about how that looks toward the end of my slides. We're also doing some cross-cutting projects internally that look at key topics across the communities, so things like energy-efficient software, fair research object cataloging to enable fair data flows, and also EDI across the community landscape. And we also have a growing cohort of CoSeC fellows, which brings me on to the CoSeC Fellowship Programme. So we designed this in 2024 with the Software Sustainability Institutes. For those who are aware of the SSI, they have a long-standing fellowship program that's very successful, internationally renowned, that's been going since 2012. And so we worked with them to design a similar program for CoSeC. So our program doesn't have the same goals as the SSI because the goals of our program are linked to the goals of CoSeC, whereas the SSIs are linked to the goals of the SSI. However, the actual structure of the program, the way that it works, the way that we sort of govern it is similar. And in effect, it provides seed funding to enable each fellow to act as an ambassador for CoSeC. Our intention is that being a fellow within CoSeC will provide a supporting and mentoring environment and a really great opportunity for knowledge exchange. So there's a huge variety of research domains and interests represented even now by our fellows. We have 2 cohorts in place. The next call is sort of the middle of next year, so please do look out for that. And this year's cohort, on the whole, I think everybody is here and will be presenting themselves, their work, and their ambitions for their fellowship later today. So just to highlight one of the existing fellows, I just wanted to pick out something that's being done by Michael Bain. I don't think he's in the room today. He should be here later if you want to catch him and talk to him. But this is just an example of the sorts of work that some of the fellows have been doing. There's also a practical element to this because he's asking for help. So Michael has a vision that he wants to empower community knowledge and capability to measure or estimate, predict and reduce carbon footprint of CoSeC digital research infrastructure activities. So his entire fellowship is predicated on the idea of sustainable or green or energy efficient research software. And he's offering to help each community to estimate its carbon footprint in a reportable way. So very practical work. This isn't sort of, sticking your finger in the air and taking a guess at how much energy your research software or workflows is using. He wants to create a system of reporting. And the outcome of this, should it be successful, is the sum of the responses effectively equals a useful estimate of the overall community carbon footprint across the CCPs and the HECs. So that's the useful output from the CoSeC perspective. Please do contact Michael to get involved. The slide decks will be available after the event, but if you follow that QR code, it'll take you to his website, where there's an entire section that was funded through his fellowship in order to enable interaction with him around this. So I want to finish on this. So when I sort of opened, I talked a bit about one of the things we do is development of strategy with our communities. And one of the big things that we as a program have been working on across all our communities for the last nearly 9 months now is this idea of grand challenges. So the reason for doing this is the landscape of research communities, the CCPs and the high-end computing consortia is diverse and it's huge and it's varied. But right now there's a bit of a revolution going on, a transformation, if you like, in the way that UKRI understands digital research infrastructure. So where previously 3, maybe 4 years ago, DRI strategies were driven at the council level. So often people recognize EPSRC, for example, in terms of their very strong leadership in this area. This is now something that's shifted to a central UKRI perspective with all of the councils helping to deliver that. So a really strong and good thing that's happened on the back of the formation of UKRI. But what this means is the communities that are out there right now need to reposition themselves and refocus themselves in a way that makes sense in this expanded landscape. So it's no longer a case that the majority of CCPs or EPSRC remit, for example. The expectation is in the future, CCPs will be available across the whole of the UKRI remit. And that's already starting to happen. So one of the things we wanted to try and do was to help the communities to identify their big grand challenge. That this isn't sort of, well, we need to make better GitHub workflows going forward. That this is the things that will change society on the back of the outputs that these research communities could achieve. And one hopes more than just let's fix potholes. I can't help coming back to that, given it was one of the key things the UK is trying to achieve with AI. I don't like potholes, but let's try and do more. So the idea of this is these form a comprehensive and compelling view of the entire community landscape and its potential for impact. And so effectively, I'm launching this today. So there's lots of work that's gone on in the background here. And the version that's now on our website, I would encourage you to go and have a look at over the course of today if you're able. There are documents available for each of the communities. These are all formatted similarly, so short, concise, 2-page documents intended to be digestible and readable. And the whole point of this is you should be able to get a feel for this huge and varied landscape of research communities in a relatively short period of time. I hope it shows where there's potential for collaboration between communities. We tried to thematically group these things and to show how this landscape can work together. Undoubtedly, it will improve over the next 12 months, but the very first version is there now. So I would ask for you to go and have a look when you get a chance. And with that, I'm going to finish. So on to the main event. So I've kind of reached the end of my introduction. I will be around all day. So please do ask me any questions that you have. And I'm going to hand back to Martin, if that's okay, or whomever is chairing the first conference. Okay, very good. Thank you.